Now a footy star's heartbreak and his emotional plea for the safe return of his deported father. The man was sent back to New Zealand during Immigration Minister Peter Dutton's crackdown on motorcycle gangs. But does everyone deserve a second chance, or is the government right to dig its heels in?
I don't want sympathy, mate. I just want justice. Not many parents get to have a famous son who's a footballer. Now I sit on the other side of another country and I can't even enjoy that.
I'm in a footy club, he's in a bikie club, he hasn't done anything wrong.
We're not going after innocent people here, we're going after the most serious criminals.
We've never waged a war like this before.
You might as well take the NZ out of Anzac now.
Evicting questionable characters from our shores.
You never see pedophiles in bike clubs, do you?
I'll take all comers.
And the casualties are mounting.
It's just really, really hard.
Tonight, rebels with a cause. Vanquished voices of the men fighting their way back to Australia.
This is a modern-day stolen generation.
I mean, it's just emotive nonsense. I think they should face their victims.
A famous footy player's pain over his deported dad.
I wake up every day hoping to get a phone call from Dad saying, guess what, I'm coming back.
What it's costing you to keep them out.
Mate, I'm never giving up. I'll fight till the end.
And who should start packing their bags tonight? Who are you taking aim at next?
I want to look at child sex offenders.
This is Australia's favourite international holiday destination. It's also a dumping ground for foreign criminals who have been sent packing by the Australian government. Tonight we ask, do these people deserve a second chance, or is this paradise their prison forever?
This is a life sentence.
Cruising in the saddle of his beloved Harley-Davidson, Shane Martin looks right at home. But for the past year, he's been in exile. The former Rebels bikie president has been booted out of Australia and returned to his native New Zealand, his visa cancelled. Martin joins more than 2,000 non-citizens who have had their visas cancelled in the past year as part of a government crackdown on foreigners who fail our character test.
If I committed a murder or had domestic violence or had anything to do with a threat to Australia, as they say, I could wear it, but I've got no charges, nothing, you know what I mean? And that's pretty hard to swallow.
A short time after this interview, a current affair obtained Shane Martin's criminal record. He consented to us showing it in full. It stretches back to 1990, not long after he arrived from New Zealand. Martin was charged with unlawful assault, burglary, armed with intent, criminal damage, and resisting police. He was ordered to carry out 250 hours community work. Over the next 6 years, he was convicted and fined 4 times for possessing a restricted substance and once for possessing a drug of dependence. Martin was also convicted and fined over some minor trucking offences. In 2004, he received a 2-month prison sentence, suspended for 12 months, for the offence of aiding and abetting in the trafficking of ecstasy. He was also convicted and fined for possessing a drug of dependence and possessing ecstasy and cannabis. That was January 2004, the last time Martin fell foul of the law, until Border Force officers dragged him away last March. The current affair understands Shane Martin's bikie links were the main reason for his deportation rather than his criminal record. But he says he turned his back on his rebels' ways when he married Adriana, a Sydney school teacher who visits every second week.
He's the most caring, humble, loving person I've ever met in my life. And that's why I married him, really.
Martin is now forced to run his Sydney trucking company over the phone from his rented New Zealand apartment. Thanks not only to his status in the rebels' ranks, but also to his high-flying Richmond Tigers superstar son Dustin Martin, Shane Martin is one of the most high-profile identities to cop an immigration red card.
we'd sit there and watch the footy all the time, and he'd sleep with the footy, you know what I mean? And we'd just sit there one day and he'd just go, "Oh, you reckon it's going to be me one day, Dad?" And I said, "Definitely, mate. That's going to be you, my boy."
He's not what he might look like. Yeah, to have that taken away, you know, you see all the other guys with their parents in the rooms after the games, and I don't even have my dad there, so yeah, it's pretty sad.
Third in last season's Brownlow medal race, Dustin has sidestepped Australian media requests to talk about the off-field firestorm surrounding his biggest supporter until now. Is your dad a bikie?
Was.
No more.
No.
Do you think he deserves to get kicked out of the country because he was a bikie?
No, because he hasn't done anything wrong. Just because he's in a club, you can't just say that he's doing something wrong, you know. There's plenty of clubs out there that, you know, I'm in a footy club, he's in a bikie club, they get together and go for rides. I get together with my club and play football.
Bronson is another son of Shane Martin, who also knows about putting his body on the line. The Aussie digger is a veteran of one tour to Afghanistan, but he quit the army in disgust when his dad was deported.
It's a great honour to do that, to protect our country. And for me to come back and in a month, 2 months' time, once I'm back, my dad gets deported. Like, it's a pretty big kick in the butt. Like, it just makes me very, very angry. Like, what happens if something did happen over there to me? Like, if I was killed or something like that, does that change it? Like, do I have to be killed for him to stay here, like, kind of thing?
Yeah, well, if he was a criminal, you know, I'd cop it, but they've just taken him away for association. Fair enough, if he'd done something, then you'd cop your whack, but to be just taken away for no reason, breaking up the family, yeah, I don't know, I think it's pretty stupid.
Moses Folau, 32 years old, deported from Melbourne.
John Mackaya, 35, deported from Perth, Australia.
Michael Joyner, 39, and I was deported from Perth, Australia.
They call themselves the 501 Club, expat Kiwis ejected from Australia under Section 501 of the Australian Migration Act for being a bikie or associating with bikies. These 3 convicts turned outcasts agreed to meet with us in their new home, Auckland.
Home? This ain't my home. Yeah. I left here when I was 6 months old, so I'm pretty much Australian.
Joel, who prefers the name Cecil, has left behind 6 kids in Australia. Do you want sympathy?
No, not me. All I want to do is see my kids. That's just a normal life, isn't it? It's not.
While Cecil and Mike have rebels' blood pumping through their veins, Moses Folau was booted across the ditch for rubbing shoulders with Comancheros. He served 10 months jail for assault, yet at this anti-deportation rally in Melbourne, there was plenty of support for Moses Folau, who claims he's a reformed man.
I did my time, but I did when I was in jail. I prayed for the victim, and he'll, I even said it to a friend of mine. Well, I wish one day I'll get the opportunity to meet him and apologise for what I've done.
And I feel very endeared to him because of his ability to come out as a reformed character from the prison system.
Melbourne scientist Dr. Chris Harvey is desperate to bring his future son-in-law Moses back across the Tasman and reunite him with his daughter. The millionaire's even willing to put his money where his mouth is.
I would certainly put up a bond for that young man, which will be payable to the Australian government should he transgress again within, 5 years, 10 years? Never. Who knows?
I am sorry for what's happened, but to be deported and taken away from my family, that's just another level now.
Here in Canberra, the man responsible for tearing these families apart is making no apologies. In fact, far from ruining lives, he says he's saving them.
Outlaw motorcycle gang members are the biggest distributors of drugs in this country. It's interesting speaking to a lot
Immigration Minister Peter Dutton has the final say on who stays and who goes.
Many of these criminals will claim that they're picked at random somehow, that we're targeting people that don't have criminal histories. It's a nonsense. We are looking at those criminals who are identified by the police and intelligence agencies around the country that are the highest value targets.
If he wants to come and get me, well, so be it. But I tell you, we won't be lying down from him.
Here you go, all right, mate.
Dean Martin is the state president of the Rebels in Victoria and recently featured with his brother Shane in a UK documentary about Aussie bikie gangs.
I've been here for 25 years, no criminal conviction.
Dean's so far managed to steer clear of the net cast by Peter Dutton's ministerial power, while he fights a federal court battle to bring his brother Shane back to Australia.
I'm really angry inside, because I know my brother. He's one of the best blokes you'll ever meet. And I'll tell you what, Peter Dutton would love to sit down and have a beer with him too. You'd probably get a laugh out of him.
Mr Martin and others can protest their innocence. I'll let people draw their own conclusions about a man who was president of an outlaw motorcycle gang in New South Wales.
It's a high-stakes battle that's costing us millions. The sheer number of people appealing their deportation through the courts means the legal bills for Minister Dutton's office dwarfs those of any other government department. Deportees are wearing only a fraction of that cost, despite being invoiced for air tickets to cover their police escorts.
If people owe a debt to the Commonwealth, then the Commonwealth will pursue that debt. And if people, again, have committed crimes against Australian citizens, then there's a price to pay for that.
Moses was billed almost $3,000 for his trans-Tasman chaperones, a bargain compared to the $9,000 invoice attached to Cecil and his 5 minders.
Yeah, I got a bill with Australia because.
Did you end up paying it?
No, of course not.
They claim you were presiding over a modern-day stolen generation.
Well, again, I mean, it's just emotive nonsense. I think they should face their victims, speak to the victims, the Australian citizens.
Now, Minister Dutton, a former police officer, encouraged by his success in purging the country of bikies, is training the government sights on the lowest of the low.
I want to concentrate very closely on child sex offenders and people that have committed offences against children, and we're working with national policing and intelligence authorities now to try and identify some of those people. And if I do nothing else in my time in Parliament, I'd be very proud of just that.
Shane Martin's legal team is awaiting next month's result of a constitutional challenge to the deportation scheme before they plan their next move. Up next on a current